it was making me mad. I couldn't help but wonder, why are we not learning these things at school? Because this is not some banal information, it's actually at the core of who we are. You may be feeling a bit lost. You're maybe busy, but not fulfilled. Checking off tasks, even hitting goals, but still something feels off. Maybe you're not where you thought you'd be by now, compared with other people who seem to have it all figured out. You maybe tried copying what worked for them, but even that doesn't make you feel any better. Because obviously, there's no one size fits all in life. I know this feeling. I've been there at different points in my life. And what was missing? Purpose. Oh. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. You need to find your purpose in life. But seriously, how are you supposed to do that? Well, I have good news for you. Purpose is not something you find, it's something you build. And it grows with every choice you make that aligns with who you really are. So you just need to know where to start. And this is what this video is about. I'm gonna walk you through what purposeful living really means, and we will see where you can start to build your foundation, how to find the hidden leaks in your life, how to create aligned goals, and finally, what growing your purposeful spiral can look like. Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Nisreen, a transformation strategist and a certified coach who worked with large tech companies for 18 years. And on this channel, we explore together strategies and tools that help us live life more intentionally and achieve our dearest dreams. Let's get into it. So, what purposeful living really means. Having a purpose is not about having a perfect plan or waking up every morning with an epic life mission. Looking for this kind of purpose gives the impression that we can find the one. Like in a relationship, there's only one person for you. That we have no room for error or for learning. That's overwhelming and honestly just unrealistic. Purposeful living is actually about alignment. It's actually when your daily choices are aligned with your deepest values, what truly matters to you, instead of being pulled out in different directions. Purpose often deepens when you have actions that are beyond yourself, whether that's through helping others, creating something meaningful, or simply being present in your relationships. Simply put, when it's not just about yourself. Purpose isn't about making life easier, but it does make it more resilient. Because when you're living in alignment, even the hard days feels like they're for something. That's what makes life feel full and meaningful, even when things are not easy. And we're not looking for anything perfect or shiny here. Because it's more about being connected to who you are and moving in that direction every single day. So if purpose is something we build, where do we start? We start by looking for our foundations that are our core values. Core values are what actually matters to you deep down. Not what you think you should care about, but the things that light you up and guide your direction naturally when no one's watching. They are like your inner compass. When you're living in alignment with them, life starts feeling meaningful and flowy, even when things get hard. But when you ignore them, that's when you feel stuck, frustrated, and out of sync, even if things might look fine on the outside. Values can be things like growth, freedom, trust, connection, integrity, contribution, humor. It's important to understand that values are very personal. No two people can have the exact same mix. That's why copying other people's life doesn't work. Because if it feels like it's working for them, it's because it's aligned with who they are. And you're obviously not the same person, so things can look different for you. And more than just a list, the order of priority in which it matters to you is as important. So how do you find your core values? To help you start, I will give you a list of over 40 values that you can pick and choose from. You can find it in the description down below. Look at your peak moments, when you felt most alive, proud, and deeply connected. What values were you living out then? Notice your triggers. When you feel really frustrated or upset, it often points to a value being stepped on or ignored. Also reflect on admiration. Who do you admire and why? Their traits reflect values that you hold dear to. Knowing your core values is really important to develop a deep knowledge of yourself. I remember when I discovered these things 7 years ago when I was studying professional coaching. I was excited to learn these new concepts, and in the same time, it was making me mad. I couldn't help but wonder, why are we not learning these things at school? because this is not some banal information. It's actually at the core of who we are. And not knowing that leaves us ignorant about some basic information about ourselves, which makes us drift away slowly from who we really are. Now that we know our core values, what do we do with it? While knowing our core values creates consciousness, and that's a good starting point, it's actually by honoring them that they have a positive impact on our life. And on the other hand, not honoring them creates what we can call leaks in our lives. These leaks are actually areas where your choices, your habit, or your relationships doesn't align with your core values. You might be spending time on something you don't really care about. Saying yes when you mean to say no, staying in environments that actually drain you, or chasing goals that aren't yours just because they look good on paper. The truth is, even a small misalignment, when repeated daily, can quickly wear you down. And your energy isn't unlimited. So every decision you make costs you something. Purposeful living means closing the gap between what you value and what you do. And that starts with awareness. Here are a few ways to identify the energy drains in your life. Scan your week. Look at where your time and attention went. What felt nourishing and what felt draining. Pay attention to your body. Notice when you feel tense, tired, or resistant. These are signals something's off. Look for the shoulds. Anywhere where you're acting out of obligation instead of intention, that's a sign of a leak there. Also ask yourself, is this moving me towards or away from who I want to be? You don't need to fix everything at once, but just start noticing those leaks in your life and moving them and tweaking them one at a time. Next is creating more aligned goals. Once you've spotted the leaks and started realigning your daily life, next step is setting goals that actually align with who you are. Too often we set goals based only on external expectations, maybe money or status or something that looks good on paper. But if those goals are not grounded in your core values, even success can feel empty. Aligned goals, on the other hand, energize you. They make you feel like your actions are really meaningful, even when things get hard. An aligned goal connects to at least one of your core values. It would feel more like a natural extension of who you are becoming instead of who you are trying to impress. For example, if one of your core values is freedom, an aligned goal would be to build a more flexible career or schedule. If your value is connection, a goal of yours might be to deepen your relationships or to build a community, for example. If your value is growth, maybe it's committing to a new skill or experiences that stretches you. So try this. Pick 2 or 3 values that you've identified earlier and ask yourself, what would this value look like in action in my current life? And set a goal that reflects that. If you want to learn also how to set goals and actually achieve them, I will link my previous video here. Remember, you're not setting goals for productivity here. You're actually building a life that looks like yours. And when your goals are value-driven, you don't need as much motivation because they pull you forward. With more goals that reflects your values, you start feeling more aligned and more energized. And that momentum starts building on itself, growing your purposeful spiral. Living with purpose is not a one-time decision. As I said at the beginning, it's really something you build over time. And it's actually an upward spiral, built with small intentional choices repeated over time. With every action aligned with your values, you reinforce your sense of self. You trust yourself more and you feel more and more grounded, which leads to better decisions, deeper relationships, more clarity and more courage to keep going. It won't be always smooth. There will be days where you would question yourself and feel lost again. But now you have a compass. You know how to check back in, how to realign. As I said before, start small and go deeper and deeper. You don't have to change your entire life overnight, of course. Just start with one area, one value, and one aligned step. And the more intentional you are, the more your life starts feeling like it's truly yours. If any part of this resonated with you, take it as a sign. And I'm inviting you to reflect on this topic and maybe start taking action. You don't need to have your whole life figured out before you start living with purpose. You just need to know what matters to you and begin choosing it one step at a time. If you found this helpful, share it with a friend and give it a like so more people can find it too. And consider subscribing if you're into personal growth and building a life that actually feels good on the inside. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!